So since I have decided to try to do something with this here YouTube channel, I thought I would introduce myself to everybody. Good morning, my YouTube friends. It is Sunday here in Moses Lake, Washington, and I am, well, guess where? You guys have seen me here so many times. The good old bird trail. I think I expressed this before, that it is one of the few spots where I can come for a nice walk and have some exposure to nature. So, and it's you know, just maybe not even 5 minutes from my house, so that's also the bonus point and why we come here so often. So I'm here with Paget and Sasha, of course. Come on, Sashi. Welcome to the channel if you are new. So since I have decided to try to do something with this here YouTube channel, I thought I would introduce myself to everybody and let you guys know a little bit about me, who I am, my background, and I've kind of already touched upon, you know, this whole YouTube thing and why I'm building my channel up right now. So we won't go deep into that, but mostly I just wanted to introduce myself to you guys. So my name is Marcia. I am 57 years old. I just turned 57 on August 5th. And my niece had a baby on August 5th. Shout out to her. And I think it's pretty cool. I'm kind of excited to share my birthday with my brand new great niece. So yeah, like I said, I'm 57. I was born in Ohio, in Dayton, Ohio, actually. And I was born to some very young parents. I believe it was my dad's 19th birthday that I was born on. But I was their second child. They actually got married when my dad was 16 and my mom was 18. Now I just share that just because it factors into the person that I am today. My childhood wasn't terrible. My parents definitely did the best that they could, and again, 16 and 18. My dad always provided for us, and so appreciative of that. I love him so much for that. He was a very good provider as far as physical things go, like homes and vehicles and, you know, school clothes and all of that good stuff. We weren't rich. I mean, it wasn't crazy. I mean, we got by. But like I said, we also did not go without. So yeah, it wasn't a terrible childhood. It also wasn't great. But I'm not going to really get into that a lot today. I might in the future, because again, it definitely factors into the person that I am today. But yeah, I'm not gonna go deep today. I just wanted to kind of touch on that, so that as I continue this, you'll kind of have an idea of, you know, where I was coming from. And let's just take a moment to look at how beautiful this trail is right here with these wildflowers. So my parents were also born and raised in Ohio. So my relatives all live back east. And my family, well, my mom was a big fan of the Osmonds. And, I'm down with some Osmonds. I like me some Osmonds music also. But her obsession with the Osmonds became, enough that she wanted to, I don't know how to put it, be like them, or she was inspired or influenced by them. And they're Mormon. So she all of a sudden got this, fascination with the Mormon church and invited the missionaries to come. And the missionaries taught us, and this was, we were living in West Alexandria, Ohio at the time. And I remember the missionaries coming and teaching us. And, as a little kid, I was 8 at the time. I didn't fully know what was going on or who these guys were, other than, they were just cool guys. They would come, and it was kind of fun when they were around. They were nice, and they were nice to us kids. And one of them was super funny. He was always making jokes and just making us laugh. And of course, they were teaching my parents the discussions or lessons of the Mormon church. We end up joining the Mormon church. I did not get baptized at that time. I don't really know why. At the time, I didn't know why. Now, I'm like, man, my little Marcia knew something in her heart wasn't right. But, you kind of follow your parents at that age. So anyways, my mom, my dad, and my older sister were all baptized. And then a year or so later, I got baptized. My dad was the one who, once my dad was eligible to baptize me, then I was like, all right, I'll do it. So yeah, not going to dive super deep into the whole Mormon thing right now either. But again, wanted to at least mention it in this video because it's another one of those things that affects or has had an impact on the person that I am today. So, once we joined the Mormon church, I guess it was like the most logical next step, at least it was in my mom's mind, to move to Utah because, well, that's where all the Mormons live. So, yeah, that happened. We moved to Utah when I was 10 or 11. I believe I was in the 4th grade. Yeah, so there we are in Utah. And of course, if anyone who lives in Utah understands what Utah is like, anybody who doesn't live there, yeah, it's interesting because it is so dominated by the Mormon religion that obviously there's a very strong Mormon or LDS influence on everything, how everything runs in Utah. So yeah, that's where I grew up. That's where I lived from ages, like I said, 11 or so, or actually 10 or 11, all the way through high school. And, again, I wouldn't say my high school or my growing up, my school years were horrible. They also weren't great. I definitely had issues that I was unaware of. Apparently at one point I had been diagnosed with dyslexia. I never knew this until as an adult. I knew there was something different about me. I've always known that. And I've always felt like I just don't think the way that other people think. I don't feel things the way other people do. But I never really understood much about it, other than that I felt different. But I had a decent, like I said, upbringing. It wasn't terrible. It just wasn't great. So right after high school, my sister and I both actually went to Florida, and we were nannies. I'm not sure how long I did that. Not super long. Maybe not even a year. I don't remember for sure. Just wasn't my thing. After that, came back. Well, I would say I came back home, except that there wasn't a home to come home to. The day that my parents dropped me off to fly to Florida, my sister was already there doing her nanny gig. But the day that they dropped me off, on the ride back home, my dad looks at my mom and tells her, "Well, I guess we can divorce now." And they did. Pissed me off, because I didn't understand why they didn't do it years ago. It would have saved a lot of pain for probably 5 people, because I have one brother, one sister. So then my parents, the 5 of us in the household, because everybody was in pain in different ways. Everybody dealt with it in their own ways too, which is interesting. And again, I'm not going to go deep into these deep topics today, but if you guys are interested, if this is something that people want to hear, is, authentic stories of others, let me know, and let me know which topics you want me to do a deep dive into, and I will do so. So when I came back from my nanny experience, my parents had divorced. My mom had already remarried, and she had moved to Oregon with her new husband. Now, I wasn't super fond of my dad, and I certainly wasn't fond enough that I wanted to go live with him or spend my time with him. So I ended up going to Oregon and, stayed at my mom's for a while. And I was miserable. I would stay up all night and sleep all day so I didn't have to see him. Couldn't stand her new husband. To this day, really don't care for him. He's now passed away, so, rest in peace, Larry. But, yeah, not my favorite dude. So yeah, he ended up in Oregon, stayed there for a while, like I said, feeling miserable, and was just like, man, I got to do something. What am I going to do? And I was seeing, late at night when I'm watching TV, I was seeing commercials for the Art Institute of Seattle. And I had a very deep interest and love for music. So I was like, okay. And they had a course called Music and Video Business. And it was, the business side of the music business. So I was like, that sounds super cool. Enrolled, went to the Art Institute of Seattle, and earned my associate's degree in music and video business. And, even though at that time, like in my classes, like I was doing really well with the video stuff, like stuff that other people were really struggling to catch on to, like editing. I was just kicking butt But, flies. My interest was music. So after I graduated, I moved to Nashville, Tennessee, because I didn't want to go to LA. That's too much, too big for me. So I went to Nashville thinking, okay, let me go to Nashville and see what I can do in the music industry. And I got a little internship with a music publisher. And for whatever reason, when I first got to Tennessee, I knew no one, 0 people. So when I got there, I called up a church and was like, I'm a member. And because at that point in my life, I was sort of active. I was never really super active. I was never really super into it, but I never really dug into those feelings or, anything to figure out why. It was what it was, and it didn't matter much to me. But anyways, so I call up a Mormon church, because I was like, hey, I'm a member and I just moved here. I don't even know what I asked them or why I was calling, just to get information about the area and what, where's a good area to go to, some apartment availability, just to get information, I guess you could say. And I don't know, maybe somebody had advised me, hey, call the church when you get there. I don't remember, but so I did. I called. So I actually ended up connecting with some really cool people in Tennessee. I even moved in and stayed with this family, the Smiths, and they were awesome. In all honesty, it was kind of my first experience of family the way it should be, I guess you could say, and definitely a mom the way a mom should be. So it was a lovely experience, and I carry the Smiths in my heart. So if any of you guys see this, I carry you in my heart and I love you. So I'm living in Tennessee with a Mormon family. So I'm going to church, and there just happened to be sister missionaries in the ward. So I started hanging out with them, and they were actually really cool, and it was a fun experience for me. So then the family that I was living in with was kind of like, hey, maybe you should go on a mission. Like, would you be interested in going on a mission? Like, I'm not going to say I don't even know that they influenced me. Maybe they put the thought in my mind, but, that was about it. I totally made the decision on my own that I was going to go on a mission. And I think that I made that decision because of the fun that I was having hanging out with the sister missionaries. So, anyways, did the whole Mormon mission. I went to Berlin, Germany, which was awesome. Certainly not going to complain about that. But yeah, so I spent a year, well, it was supposed to be a year and a half. I did not make it that long. When I was in Germany, man, I could not deal I just could not deal with the whole being around somebody 24/7. So I ended up coming back early. But on that topic, let's get back to the, I've always felt different. So my mission was a big eye-opener on that one too, with I just don't think like other people, and being around somebody 24/7, I could not do it. I had one companion that I was cool with and I could totally stand being around, but the others, and so I think maybe it was my third companion. So I had a not great one, then I had the one I liked, and then on the third one, I just lost it. I just couldn't be around her. And so one night, and you're supposed to be around your companion 24/7. One night I go into the bedroom and I closed and locked the door, and I put headphones on and was listening to music. I want to say it was kind of churchy music though. No, actually I think it was a tape that another missionary had sent me of, like, you know, good music. So anyways, I was listening to music, locked myself in this room. Of course, you know, you guys can imagine. She freaked out. She called people and blah, blah, blah. So they sent me from Germany over to Spokane, Washington, where I was going to finish out my mission. And I want to say it was the first, man. Just right off the bat, as soon as I got back over there, I was just like, this isn't for me. So I ended it. Came home. Well, went back to Tennessee. So after my mission, you know, again, I was still kind of like in the whole Mormon thing. So, you know, for them and their teachings and what they think I should be doing next is finding a husband and starting a family. So I ended up, I lost a dog. Sasha! Where's Sasha? Huh? So, you know, I mean, I guess I was sort of playing along at that point. And I'm like, okay, let me go find a husband. Well, where are all the Mormon men? Utah. So I moved back to Utah and stayed with my dad for a little while, and then found a little house, you know, and I was working. I had a pretty decent job at that point in time. I was working for a medical manufacturer. It was decent. I actually got to go back to Germany with them. Again, stories for another day, but so at that place, Fresenius, that I was working, I met this girl named Andrea, and she invited me to go hang out with her one weekend. And well, I discovered that I like girls. Gosh, all of a sudden so many things about me made sense when when her and I shared our first kiss. And I got up and my knees were literally like, you know, rubbery or jello. So yeah, there I am. I've finally come to the realization that, oh, I'm gay. So that makes, that makes so many things make sense. And I'm stuck in Utah. And there were a couple of gay clubs. I mean, I got my first experiences there, I guess you could say, you know, having that cool gay guy friend. And he would always, Marsha. I loved him. His name was Chad. He was my first gay friend. So yeah, I mean, there was a little bit of fun to be had in Utah, but it was Utah. So I eventually ended up moving back to Portland, or the Portland area. Got a job with Nike. Did that for several years. Dated girls that whole time. Never really found anybody. Look how cute these dogs are being. What are you doing over there, Padgy? Come on, what you doing? I've never had a long-term relationship. And again, these deep things I'll dig into deeper at some point. Remember how I said I've always felt different? That all factors into no relationships and just, yeah. Anyways, so after a few years at Nike, you should be sponsored by Nike, and dating a few girls there, I was actually laid off. And I was kind of like, yeah, that's cool, you know, I'm ready to move on. Had no clue what I was going to do, though. But I wanted to get back to what I had gone to school for, which was, you know, music business. But I was like, you know, since video editing and video, that side of it really kind of clicked with me, let me get into video. So I'm looking for jobs, and I'm like, man, I need more than an associate's degree to get a decent job. So I called up a Navy recruiter, and I was like, hey, do you have any jobs in media? He's like, yep, we sure do. Come on in. And I had honestly pretty much already made my mind up before I went in to meet with him that I was going to be joining the Navy. So yeah, I did. That's what I did. I joined the Navy. I was a storekeeper in the Navy. I didn't get into media. And the reason for that was that's where my test scores landed me, and the rate itself was more wide open, so there was more opportunity for advancement. And my whole purpose, my point was I just wanted to join the Navy, go in for, a few years, whatever it takes, get that GI Bill, and, make and save as much money as I can, and then, move on. So I was never planning on making it a career. I ended up doing 7.5 years. I did my sea duty and then my shore duty, and then it was time for sea duty again. And I was like, one go at that's good for me. And again, I'll dive into the Navy stuff too if you guys want to hear more about it. So yeah, after the Navy, I finished up my bachelor's degree, got my Bachelor of Science in Business Administration with a focus in finance, because I didn't want to be an accountant. And ask me what I am. So yeah, I ended up finding my first accounting job with a company. At the time it was HSP. By the time the 2 weeks after I got hired, by the time I made it over there, it was Riverstone. But I was a property accountant for them for 7-ish years. And I'm not going to lie, I got really burnt out on it. I thought I hated my job and was super miserable doing it. So I ended up, just kind of taking a step back from full-time work, and I started a little pet sitting business, which was awesome. And I did that for several years along with a Dog is Good pop-up shop, and that was my income. And COVID hit, and because I was doing my own business, I got all kinds of COVID money. So it was kind of awesome how it all turned out. So that got me through that period. And then when the money started dwindling, I'm like, I guess it's time to go get a real job, as I was referring to it. And mostly it was because when COVID hit, I lost all my clients, like people were working from home and no longer needed their dog walker. Speaking of dogs, look at those cuties. So I did the pet sitting thing as long as I possibly could, and then was like, crap, I gotta go back to work. Well, lucky for me, I had a really good friend who I worked with at Riverstone, and she had moved on, and she was working for this company called Inspire Communities out of Phoenix, Arizona. And pretty much from the day she took that job, she had been every couple of months or so, she would check in with me. Hey, I'm hiring accountants. And of course, at the time, I was doing the pet sitting stuff, so I was like, nope, I'm good. Well, so, once I was not good, I actually reached out to her, and I was like, hey, what you got going? And we were just kind of chatting back and forth. And she goes, before I had even brought it up, we were just still small talking. She goes, I'm hiring accountants. And I said, I'm looking for a job. And then I said, is it remote? And she goes, yep. I said, okay, let's talk. So that's how I ended up in the job that I have now. And you guys, I love it. I'm doing the exact same stuff that I did at Riverstone, where I was so miserable, where every day the chant, the mantra in my head was, I hate my job, I hate my job, I hate my job, I hate my job. It wasn't the job. So, yeah, I've discovered that it was not the job that I hated. It was the situation. And I work remote from home now, and it's what I need to do. So again, about the whole feeling different and blah, blah, blah. When I was young, I thought there must be something wrong with me, like mental illness wise. Like there's something, there's something wrong with me. Then as I got a little bit older, I was like, okay, well, maybe I'm autistic. Like maybe I'm on the spectrum. Maybe that's what it is. And then I came across HSP, the highly sensitive person. And I believe I watched the documentary first and connected with it on so many freaking levels. My mind was blown. So I got the book. Hey, Paget! Look where Paget's at. What are you doing over there, baby? Come back. Baby, come back. Yeah, good girl. So I ended up buying the book. And I will put it on the screen because I can't think of, the title or even her name right now. But I came across the book, and there's a little quiz in the book that you can take to kind of, if you're HSP or not. And I took the quiz. I don't remember how many questions there were, but the little thing said if you like, I think you took the quiz and got a score, and if your score was above 14, you're probably HSP. My score was 17, so I'm probably HSP. And it was kind of this relief for me because I was like, oh, I'm not mentally ill. I'm not autistic. I just have this personality trait that's different. Whew, it's a little smoky out here from the wildfires around us right now. So yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm HSP. I'm still, could I be on the spectrum? I think that maybe I could be, and this is something that I've actually been debating in my mind lately. And again, I appreciate anyone's input who relates with this. I've been wondering whether or not it would be beneficial to me to find out, if I am on the spectrum, to go ahead and get the diagnosis. I feel like it could help me as I move forward, especially if at any point I lose the job that I'm currently doing, because again, there's no way I can go work in an office again. No way. So yeah, stay tuned for that. If I decide to take that journey and find out if I am truly autistic or not, I will document that, because I do feel like that would be something of interest to people and could help others who feel similar to me. So I'm going to wrap it here. I think my battery's getting low anyways. But there is more, of course, like how I ended up in Moses Lake, where I'm at now. So I will share all of that probably in another video. yeah, I guess that is it for now. Thank you so much for joining me on this walk on the lovely bird trail this morning. And Paget thanks you. And Sashi thanks you. And we wish you all a beautiful Sunday. If it's your Sunday or just whatever day you're on, make it a great one. And thank you for subscribing if you have. And if you haven't, consider it. Again, I'm trying to build this channel up so that when I come to retirement age, I'll have it. Or if I lose my job, I'll have it. Because again, I cannot go back to an office. So, enjoy the day, everyone!